Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for February 14th to February 20th of 2016. And on February 14th, we have the sun. You can see it denoted here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's an Aquarius. It's also in the 30th hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we have the chop mark for the 30th, numbered from bottom to top. The 30th goes yang, yin, yang, yang, yin, yang. And then the 30th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here, this is the 30th gate of recognition of feelings, the clinging fire, freedom recognized as an illusion, limitation accepted as fate, located in the solar plex center in an abstract collective energy path in the sensing circuit called the channel of recognition, a design of focused energy, feelings that connects with the 41st gate of contraction, decrease, the limitation of resources, which maximizes the development of potential. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we've got the following activated gates on February 14th. We've got the sun in the 30th gate with the earth in the 29th gate. The north node is in the 47th gate with the south node in the 22nd gate. Mercury is in the 60th gate with Venus in the 61st gate. Mars is in the 43rd gate. Jupiter is retrograde and it's in the 47th gate along with the north node. We've got Saturn in the 5th gate with Uranus in the 51st gate. Neptune is in the 37th gate and Pluto is in the 54th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And we begin the week with no channel definitions due to the transit field. February 14th begins with the sun in the first line of the 30th hexagram, where the sun is exalted in composure, a balance in the face of disorder, exalted, the maximization of limitation in all cases, stability through feelings no matter what the situation. And as we continue to move into the rave new year, the shift of the sun into the 30th gate, the clinging fire, is really the closing stage of the opening of the new year cycle. This is the point that, according to Ra, the power to get things going, that it really finds a point in a sense of direction. A few weeks ago, we looked at the rave new year, which begins with the sun, its entry into the 41st hexagram, and the 30th is the harmonic gate that continues the life force, which was that was initiated in the 41st in the human experiential way through the channel of recognition through feelings. And the 30th gate is the fates. Its polarity is the 29th gate of saying yes. And sometimes I think about the 30th gate as the gate of saying no, or at very least not in the way that you expect. It's seductive because it is a gate of emotional desire, moving the wave of desire that burns to the desire that cools as it rises and falls. It's an abstract process that doesn't follow a pattern like its mirror image, the 5818. And this has the 41st gate is under pressure from the roots, saying, I'd really like to have this experience, and I'm willing to do this and this and this to get it. And then the 30th gate says, nah, that's not going to happen. Which creates diversity, because all that pressure pushes us out into the new cycle from the 41, and then the 30 is an obstacle, and it's important to really cut through the desire to see what's going to be in the way, to see what the obstacles according to Ra. Once we identify the obstacles, the 30th gate is how we're going to accept life, accept that it's not going to work out the way we thought. In seeing what we have to deal with, we will find our way, even if it's not the way we thought we would go. Honoring your strategy and authority will provide the composure to navigate this transition with ease. Later on the 14th, though, then the sun then moves into the second line. So it's leaving the investigator line. It's moving into the hermit line. I mean, the hermit line of the 30th hexagram. And this shift happens at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so just 5 minutes after noon on Eastern Standard Time. The sun's exalted in the second line of the 30 and described as pragmatism, the balance between extremes. Exalted, the productive application of energy without wastage, not wasting energy on feelings. And then also on the 14th, Venus moves out of the 31 and it joins Mercury in the 60. And in human design, Venus is about values, morality, natural law, in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. And Venus is in the 60th gate of acceptance, limitation. The acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. And Venus is exalted in the first line of the 60, but it's also being detrimented due to Mercury being in the 60. So exalted is that upward pointing triangle. The detriment is the downward pointing triangle. So when you see Venus in the 60th gate first line, it's going to look like a six-pointed star as those two triangles are overlaid. And so the first line of the 60 is acceptance, exalted, the ability to maintain inner harmony when confronted by external limitation, harmonic energy that can deal with external limitations, detriment of the drive for diversity that when limited can become restless and agitated. Restless energy when confronted with external limitations. On the 15th, the sun then moves into the third line of the 30th hexagram, so into the martyr line of the 30, and the shift happens at 10:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the third line of the 30 is resignation, exalted, the awareness and manifestation of law of regeneration, the laws of karma, reincarnation and resurrection, the feeling to accept what is, detriment of the tendency by its very knowledge to encourage or avoid despair, the positive or negative feelings that come with the acceptance of what is. And then also on the 15th, Mercury leaves the 60, leaving Venus behind, and it moves into the 41, creating this channel definition. All right. Excuse me. In mythology, Mercury was the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication. And Ra talked about it being expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music. And this is the gate of contraction, decrease, the limitation of resources which maximizes development of potential. And Mercury is detrimented in the first line of the 41, which is reasonableness, the appropriate delegation of responsibility, detriment, a tendency in understanding to assume capability leading to strain, the hothead, the urge to release feelings. And with Mercury in the 41 and the sun is in the 30, this brings us the channel of recognition until the 19th. This gives us a few days to dream for the sake of the dream, without the expectation of the dream coming true or bringing lasting peace. This is part of the abstract collective circuitry, so sharing experiences about our hopes and dreams with others will have a profound ability to stir their feelings. I'd expect folks to be more restless in their experience of having a connection between the root and the solar plexus, and also for those who do not have emotional definition, this channel can bring the unfamiliar wave of emotions, perhaps leading to acting confrontational and or yearning to feel in order to learn. And for those without the defined root center, the transit can bring pressure, which may have folks hurrying to get things done to release their stress. And then on the 16th, the sun moves into the fourth line of the 30th hexagram at 8:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the fourth line of the 30 is described as burnout, an unrealistic pace that begs misfortune, exalted a compulsion, excuse me, and hyperactive nature which carries all the earmarks of burnout but doesn't necessarily arrive at it. A positive outcome is often assisted through analysis, highly energized feelings that may lead to emotional collapse. Detrimented, uncontrollable expansion with the inevitable bursting of the bubble, uncontrollable feelings and accompanying emotional outbursts. On the 17th, the sun then moves into the fifth line, the heretical fifth line of the 30th hexagram. At 6:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the fifth line of the 30 is described as irony, recognition and dedication to transitory goals, exalted, the strength derived from knowledge and experience that 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward. Each new feeling brings back an old feeling before progress can take place. Detrimented, the anger engendered by irony, frustration, and with its limitations and the desire to eliminate the entire process. Frustration and anger with old feelings brought into emotional awareness with each new experience. Excuse me. On the 18th, the sun then moves into the sixth line of the 30th hexagram. So up here on the roof of the hexagram, the role model line of the 30, this shift happening at 5:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the sixth line of the 30 is enforcement, discipline to maintain right action, exalted, the assertiveness to purge the inferior while accepting to lead the weak, the strength to eliminate negative feelings, detriment, an inherent peacefulness that all too often will abide the presence of inferior forces, a lack of strength to eliminate negative feelings. Also on the 18th, Venus moves out of the 60, excuse me, and joins Mercury in the 41. And we've talked about Venus being about values. So Venus is in the 41st gate of contraction, decrease, the limitation of resources, which maximizes the development of potential. And Venus is detrimented in the first line of the 41 due to Mercury being in the 41, which is reasonableness, the appropriate delegation of responsibility, detriment, a tendency in understanding to assume capability leading to strain, the hothead, the urge to release feelings. And then on the 19th, the sun then moves from the 30 to the 55, and with it the Earth moves from the 29 to the 59. Okay. All right. So, there we go. We got our movement there. All right. So we've got the Earth. It's in the 59th hexagram. This is the gate of sexuality, dispersion, the ability to break down barriers to achieve union. And this shift happens at 3:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the sun in the 55th gate of spirit, abundance. Abundance is strictly a question of spirit. And the sun in the first line of the 55 is cooperation, exalted, the expansion of activity through cooperation with powerful forces through principled action that guaranteed continued support and engender prosperity. The potential to find the spirit through cooperation with powerful forces. detrimented the concentration of harmonic relationships with powerful forces to provide for continuity but not necessarily advancement, the potential to harmonize with powerful forces but not necessarily benefit for the benefit of spirit. And with the sun entering into the 55th gate and the earth in the 59th gate, we're entering into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, along with the design 34 and 20. And next week, the sun enters the 37th hexagram, with the earth in the 40th hexagram, which is the cross of planning. So this really brings us a glimpse of the upcoming shift in global cycles, except in reverse. And I'll explain more about global cycles later in this report. The important thing to understand is how different the theme of the cross of planning is from the theme of the sleeping phoenix. This is where human design is very useful because we are living in a time of change as the background frequency as we move through the breakdown of infrastructure that supports community and dependencies and the emergence of empowered individuality. So this week we're feeling the solar background frequency of deep individuality and how different it is from the supportive tribal vibration of the 3740 that we'll be experiencing it next week. So the breakdown of the cross of planning can be seen as the breakdown of all types of community infrastructure, from roads, bridges, and highways to social services to education systems and political, legal, and policing organizations whose purpose used to be to serve and protect, but it really is becoming more about serving and protecting the fortunes of individuals. And Ross said, like the cross of planning, the cross of the sleeping phoenix contains a definition with the unconscious 2034. And this is an enormously powerful manifesting generator potential. And this potential is deeply, deeply, deeply individual. And it's why human design is about the development of unique potential, why strategy and authority is a navigating tool for operating on this plane in this time of extraordinary transition. You know, we live in a huge neutrino weather field, and in this weather field, it's not just simply about recognizing whatever it is we have to deal with in our personal lives, but to understand the larger structures that are there and what's at work. and what's at work is truly a great change. It's a signpost every year as I watch this transit. It's a reminder that what we are leaving behind and where we're going. And then also on the 19th, Mercury moves from the 41, leaving Venus behind as it moves into the 19. We're having all these breakdowns of the infrastructure already here, aren't we? So, all right, that will work. So anyway, we talked about Mercury being about communication, and in the 19, this is the gate of wanting approach, that all things are interrelated, is apparent and manifested through the action of approach. And Mercury in the first line of the 19, this is interdependence, exalted, the successful approach that does not lose its individual character in acceptance, the pressure of wanting without losing one's identity when accepted by others, detriment of the tendency once an approach is accepted to get stuck in continued reflection at the expense of continued development, the pressure of acceptance which fears eventual rejection. And on the 20th, the sun then moves into the second line of the 55. And this shift happens at 1:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the second line of the 55 is distrust. Abundance hampered by slander or gossip, exalted the gift of being able to penetrate to the center that may demonstrate effectively through its related talents that its truthfulness is genuine. Emotional stability and strength of spirit is dependent on being trusted by others. Detrimented the direct challenge that slanders who always have to be the direct challenge to the slanderers who always will have the advantage of quoting the bard, methinks thou protest too much. Only continued example can overcome distrust. The emotional drive to insist on trustworthiness that does not guarantee its acceptance by others or the benefits of spirit. So I want to just take a minute or two here just to talk about the 55th hexagram, because with the sun transiting through the 55 and through the lines this week and into next week, because this is, like I said, this is the cross of the next global cycle, and this is when the precession of the equinox retrogrades from the first line of the 37 into the sixth line of the 55 in February of 2027. And the precession of the equinox is caused by the fact that the Earth has like a slow wobble on its axis, causing us to move through the themes of the zodiac and hexagrams in reverse. And this is a 25,772 year cycle to move through 360 degrees, and it's called a great year in astrology, and moving through great months like the age of Leo, the age of Cancer, then Gemini, then Taurus, then Aries, and currently Pisces. These signs are each, these ages are each 2,148 years long. And we experience 1 degree of movement through the zodiac every 71.6 years. So in human design, this is called the Global Consciousness Program, and it's different than the planetary program that we cover in the daily neutrino and daily and weekly neutrino forecast. So we have been in the 37th hexagram and the cross of planning in the global cycle since 1615, which marked the explosion of the industrial age in the first line of the 31. Or the sixth line. So anyway, since 1960, we've been in the line of, so we've been in the first line of the 37 since 1960, which has been the line of a secure foundation and investigation. In the 37, it's about family, tribe, and community. And we're about to approach in 2027 the sixth line of the 55, where we experience the breakdown of support for the tribe and community, and we're experiencing the breakdown of the bargain. In 2027, we enter the sixth line of the 55. This sixth line is about mutation and transition, which we're already experiencing, and the foundation is disappearing. And this can be alarming if you're not aware that this is an evolutionary process. And we're currently in the 37-1 breakdown phase of support for communities as we're moving from the cross of planning, the 37, the 40, the 9, and the 16, to the cross of the sleeping phoenix with the 55, the 59, the 34, and the 20. So we're really moving from tribal collective logic gates to predominantly mutative individual gates. So in 2027, we move to spirit. Abundance is strictly a question of spirit. And in the sixth line of the 55, This is selfishness, the acquisition obsession that through alienating is still indirectly beneficial materially to others or not. This is the selfishness of spirit. It's not negative. It's not. It's about really putting integrity and your authentic self first through strategy and authority. And the 55th gate and its corresponding DNA codon histidine is where the mutation is taking place, where the emotional spirit awakens. And children born with this mutation are the rave children. They're the next evolution of our species. The solar plexus will change into a pure awareness center, like the splenic and ajna centers are currently, and it will no longer be a motor generating an emotional wave in the children born with that mutation. This is the moment, a movement from left brain strategic thinking to right brain receptive thinking. This is the emergence of a new type of cognition. So this week we experience a signpost of what's to come, and next week we'll be looking at what we're leaving behind as we move through the 3740 cross of planning in the planetary cycle, in the solar cycle. Anyway, thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for February 21st, 2016. Should be available on the 20th when we continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, and I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. And I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA or connect with Skype to receive your reading. As always, we are still accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And again, contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you'd like to make a donation, or getting a reading is an excellent way to continue to support these offerings. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey in this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. All my best to everybody, and look forward to connecting with you in the future.